Welcome back to another episode of That Sound Podcast. Today we are joined by Rob Bylan of Wall of Gain. Rob, how are you?
How's it going, Gav?
Another chat.
Another chat. Great to be back. Yeah.
So we are going to give a supergroup of 80s music. Who would be a five piece? Did you go five piece?
I went five piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Push the
went,
boat out.
yeah, we pushed the boat out. I went five piece too. So we'll go a member each and we'll work our way down. How about
Cool.
that?
Yeah. That's a good way doing it.
Right. So you start.
Okay. So the 80s was very weird, wasn't it, for music?
Yes,
Um,
a lot of different stuff.
a lot of different stuff out there. And the 70s was so good, especially for like hard rock
Hmm.
and classic rock. 70s was absolutely brilliant. And then the 80s came and, music kind of went in a different direction.
Yeah.
So it was, I'll start with vocalists maybe. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Lead vocalist, right? So I was trying to think who is the iconic 80s rock lead vocalist, and I couldn't pass David Coverdale from Whitesnake.
Right. Oh,
Yeah. Now I know some people might think he's a bit, cheesy or whatever, especially in the late 80s with all those, Whitesnake videos and stuff. And I totally understand that and I get that. But if you actually dig deep into the albums, particularly the self-titled album, 1987, or the one before that was called Slide It In,
right.
his vocals are absolutely amazing. He's got a really soulful, bluesy voice,
Yeah.
but it's also great for hard rock as well.
Yeah.
And I've seen him live a number of times, and he's a brilliant vocalist. He's absolutely fantastic, and he's got great charisma on stage.
Showman.
So for sure, for sure. So he's my vocalist, David Coverdale from Whitesnake, and previously Deep Purple. Obviously,
Does he play guitar as well? No.
he plays a bit of guitar in the studio here and there, but he's not a guitar player. Like he's
Okay.
primarily a vocalist.
Okay. So before I go, I have so some of my members are guitarists and singers. So I'm going to start it off. Then I'll just go. He can be both. James Hetfield. All right.
Brilliant.
Metallica rhythm guitarist, a little bit of lead vocalist, of course. So he can do it all. My love for Metallica goes deep. I couldn't pass them in the 80s, especially between, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, Justice, savage stuff, riffs. I know, there was a lot going on between Lars, James, and Kirk, but I think James' vocals and his rhythm playing and his lead, I couldn't leave him out. I really couldn't. His right hand is hard to beat. A lot of guitarists talk about him, the speed of his right hand. So for that reason, I'm gonna definitely have James Hetfield a part of my 80s supergroup.
Very good. Okay. Yeah, I'm a huge Metallica fan, and it was hard, but I've actually left all the members of Metallica out of this.
Right.
And the reason is I think Metallica are one of those classic bands where the band is bigger than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
And I think Hetfield is probably the most talented member in terms of, as you say, he's a fantastic rhythm guitar player, especially for metal.
Yeah.
Great vocalist, great frontman,
Great fun.
great songwriter,
Yeah.
great lyricist.
Yeah.
He's got all those boxes ticked. But I think for the type of band I've gone with here, I don't think he'd fit into this band.
Yeah, I think for once, Rob, we're going to have two separate bands. I think we've been very similar on all our chats, but I think I have a funny feeling this was going to be different. But it's interesting. It's good. It's
That's
good.
it. Not nothing like the 80s to divide us. So I'm gonna go for the bass player next, right?
Okay.
So I was, going through who I would put in this band as a bass player, and I had to represent Guns N' Roses because they were such a big band in the 1980s.
Okay.
And I don't have Slash in, right? So I have two guitar players, but none of them are Slash. So I've decided to go with Duff McKagan as bass player. So I think he's a very underrated bass player. If you listen to Appetite for Destruction, you listen to the grooves there that he plays on the bass. You could literally listen to that album from start to finish. Just listen to the bass guitar, and it is like an orchestra in itself, even without the vocals, the drums, or the other guitar players. He is unbelievable, and I don't think he gets enough credit in
Right.
that band, and I think he'd be a good addition to this band.
And he's still going today and a lot of different side projects, working with Jerry Cantrell, working different bits in Velvet Revolver. Yeah, he's a Swiss Army knife, we'll say. You know, you
Big
know.
time.
Funny story I'll tell it about Duff McKagan. What year did they play Slane? Was it 91?
2000, 91 the first time, yeah.
Yeah, 91. So my stepfather, he was working in Slane Castle at the time, rewiring when there was the fire in the castle, and they were there for a long, long time working there. But they happened to meet there that year that Guns N' Roses was playing, and he was a bass player. And he happened to get on stage like sound check and picked up Duff's bass and played like half a second and just turned around and there was like this big massive guy like you better put that down, but he's like, I got to play Duff's bass, I don't care.
That is a brilliant story.
Yeah, and that's fact, gospel truth, honest to God. Yeah.
I
uh,
hear. Love it.
cool. Good shout. Well, I'll stick with the bass then as well. This was a tough one. um yeah, I didn't want to go all Metallica. Like, I definitely, Cliff had crossed my mind. How innovative he was, how he changed that Metallica scene, with the instrumentals and his knowledge and music theory and everything. But I went for something different, and I went with Lemmy from Motorhead,
Wow. Yeah.
right?
Very good.
Um, Another vocalist, of course, a badass frontman, you know, can hold an audience. It's just iconic. Has some awesome. Like, I was actually listening back to the Ace of Spades record today. There's actually, I didn't realize, kind of, I'm not going to say bluesy stuff, but there is an element of some of the tracks with a little kind of blues bit in them, I found. Obviously, it's hard rock, like, but some of the bass or something spoke to me a little bit today. I don't know what it was, but I think Hetfield and Lemmy would be, they have jammed together. We've all seen them videos. So I think the two of them could work well together. So, Lemmy.
Very good. Yeah. And actually, didn't Motorhead cover Train Kept It Rolling
Yeah, yeah,
and Louis Louis? So they have a lot of blues rock in their back
yeah,
catalog,
yeah.
even
Oh,
though they're
yeah.
like a metal or a punk band or whatever.
Yeah, kind of hard rock, kind of. Yeah, they were kind of like that band. They kind of had a subgenre to themselves, kind of thing. But
Oh yeah,
they were badass. They were cool. Lemmy
brilliant.
was cool. So
Did you ever see them live?
I didn't know. No.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see them twice. I
Did you?
saw them at Donington, and Slash was actually on the bill, and he came out and played with Lemmy, and it was brilliant. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely brilliant.
that's
And I saw him in Dublin as well.
deadly.
But yeah, so my next pick, rhythm guitar. As you say, James Hetfield is a fantastic rhythm guitar, but unfortunately, I'm leaving him out of this list. I've gone for Malcolm Young.
Yeah, he crossed my mind.
Yeah, and I had Izzy Stradlin was in my head as well. I think
Right.
Izzy Stradlin's a fantastic rhythm guitar player from Guns N' Roses. But I went with Malcolm in the end
Yeah.
because I just wanted to pick one Guns N' Roses, and I think for the 80's as well, you kind of have to pick an AC/DC.
Yeah.
Um, and like they had better albums in the 70's, but Back in Black was released in 1980, so they're just sneaking into the
Yeah.
decade there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Malcolm's my rhythm guitar player.
Yeah, great shout. Great shout. Like, he's regarded highly as one of the best rhythm guitarists. I know you spoke with him highly about him as well, over a few chats, but like, he does come up in a lot of interviews and stuff that I watched, that like Malcolm was, and he was the brains of the operation a lot of the time, I think too. And I
Yeah,
was lucky enough to talk to Cormac Neeson from The Answer, who supported AC/DC, and he had nothing but nice things to say about Malcolm. He said he was an absolute gentleman. Gentleman.
yeah,
So that was cool.
brilliant.
So right, I went crazy here again. Speaking of crazy, Ozzy Osbourne.
Wow.
So I'm thinking Ozzy singing, head feeling Lemmy backing him up. There'd be some fucking crack on this tour bus, I'll tell you. So yeah, Diary of a Madman and Barking at the Moon, 81 and 83. Like, I'm going all thrash, hard rock here. So yeah, Ozzy frontman with Lemmy and James on the stage. Like, fuck me, it'd be unreal.
That's the history of metal right there.
Yeah. I definitely went for the complete supergroup here. I don't know how well they'd balance each other. I don't know if Ozzy would be really fit to hold the heavier stuff, but My supergroup.
Very good. Okay, I've gone for the drums next. So, totally different choice here. I wanted to pick a really strong drummer, and I didn't want to pick someone that was just your standard rock drummer. I could have gone with like a Phil Rudd or a Steven Adler or Tommy Lee or something like that. But I decided to go with a prog rock drummer, so I've gone with Neil Peart from Rush.
Yeah.
And yeah, I suppose with Malcolm's simplicity, then you would have Neil's complexity.
Yeah.
So they might bounce off each other quite well. Um, or it could be a car crash. But in any case,
No,
I've got with Neil Peart on drums from Rush. I think he'd be a good fit there.
I think you're onto something there because like you said, there'd be some drum solos, there'd be some off like just off on the mad one, like he just go and yeah. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, so who have we got so far? We've Neil Peart, Malcolm.
Duff McKagan and David
Yeah.
Coverdale.
Yes, nice, nice. I'll go drums then. So there was a last minute substitution on my list here. I did have Dave Lombardo in from Slayer.
I was thinking that actually.
Yeah, and I was listening. I actually listened to like random, and I know Dave's known for the double bass drum and the speed and the power, and how he was kind of the one that progressed the high rate of the double bass and his
Yeah.
blast beating and all that crack. But as crazy and as whingy as he is, I had to go with Lars. I think, right, he gets a lot of crap, right? But as a band member, I kind of took in as a member more so. Like, he is a genius. He is a genius. And how he can construct music and know what to do and what to change and, take that riff, no, do this with that and reorganize stuff. And his drumming. Like, his drumming on Justice is brilliant. Okay, some of the tracks might be in a couple of takes, like Dyer's Eve or whatever. But some of that stuff, like one, like I never heard that in my life. I know there was other hard rock drummers and metal drummers going probably around the same time, Dave Lombardo as well in '86. But and Master of Puppets is '86. But like, yeah, I think his overall brain and his power, Lars. And I might get a lot of grief for that. Make sure to hit me up in the comments if you think I'm absolutely crazy. But no, I can't pass my boy Lars. He is a bit, but he's a hell of a drummer, and he has the albums to back it up. So I'll fight you if you think he's mad.
Well, I am a huge fan of Lars, and not as a drummer. I'm a fan of Lars as a band leader.
Yeah,
He's got an unbelievable motivation. Like Metallica wouldn't be a band if it wasn't for Lars constantly driving forward and pushing ahead. He's such an inspirational character in terms of setting goals and achieving them. Like he wanted to play Glastonbury
yeah,
for years, even though people were saying, "Oh, Glastonbury, it's a hippie festival, or it's kind of, it's not a metal festival." And he was like, "No, that is one thing we want to do." And by God, they did it. I think it was 2014,
yeah. And
and
Slaying was on his radar too.
you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, Slane was on his radar. He had a whole speech. I don't know if you remember on the time when he got
Yeah,
some
yeah,
time to speak about Slane at the end. He spoke about the gig, and he just spoke about what it meant to him.
yeah.
You know,
People that played there before him and that. Yeah,
the people that played there before him, and that like we've been playing, Marley Park, the SFX, the RDS. He went through all the
oh
venues
yeah.
that Metallica played. He had every single one of them in his head,
Mm.
and then he was like, but like it's an honor to play Slane Castle here for you today, and like I think he's absolutely brilliant. Like I'd say he's hard work to be in a band with, but a great leader, a
Yeah,
great driving force behind that band. And you're right, even like he is an arranger. Like he does arrange James riffs, 3B followed by
yeah,
47A followed by 6A. That's the way they arrange their riffs. James
yeah,
James
yeah,
plots them all out, and Lars will say a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit
yeah,
of the other.
yeah.
So he deserves his props for that as well. But
Even
yeah,
even the most iconic riff of Metallica, "Enter Sandman," wasn't it him that said to change the riff around to do it three times and then one time, whereas
That's right.
the original riff was the whole way through all the time, I believe.
That's right. Main riff and tail, and
Yeah.
he was saying no, go
So
main, main,
true.
main,
Yeah.
tail,
And it's
and then
night and day when you hear it. It's like, he definitely is a special voice. So
yeah,
Lars Ulrich on the sticks for me.
brilliant. Okay, so we come to lead guitar.
Yeah.
So my lead guitar player of the 80s in my supergroup is John Sykes. Now, a lot of people might not know who John Sykes is.
Yeah.
Um, I've known who John Sykes is since I was about 19, 20, I'd say. So I started getting into guitar, and I found out that he played on this Tin Lizzy album in 1983 called Thunder and Lightning. And I remember listening to that album for the first time and thinking, what is this?
Yeah.
This is nothing like anything Tin Lizzy have ever done before.
Mm.
It was fast,
Speed.
it was heavy, it was technically brilliant. And this guitar player, like this young guitar player that they brought in for their last album, John Sykes, unbelievable. Like he's finger tapping, he's up and down the neck, he's shredding,
Hmm.
and then he's playing blues. Like it was just absolutely fantastic. And then unfortunately, Thin Lizzy ended, and he was without a gig, but he was snapped up straight away by Whitesnake.
Like, yeah.
He went on to re-record, slide it in the American version, so he added some guitar parts to that, and then he went on to write and record basically all of the 1987 self-titled album, bar two tracks.
Cool.
He co-wrote them all with David Coverdale. Um, he then also played all the guitars on it. He worked with Bob Rock in the studio up in Vancouver, Little Mountain Studio, and they found a way to uh mic up his Les Paul through his Marshall plexi and get this unbelievable tone. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Whitesnake and aren't a fan of that album and that sound, but the guitar tone on the 1987 album by Whitesnake is unmatched in the 1980s, in my opinion. And I think it's actually how Bob Rock got, he went on to make the Metallica album in 1991, and the guitar tone on that is fantastic. But
Yeah.
I think the guitar tone on Whitesnake's 87 is equally as fantastic. And that's Bob Rock is the common factor there. So yeah, John Sykes, I think he's unbelievable, and I don't think he gets enough credit. Technically brilliant and just a fantastic guitar player, songwriter. Now he didn't get on with David Coverdale. He actually got fired from the band before that album was released, and he never got a chance to tour it with the band. But I hopefully that those guys could patch it up, and if there's a dream band, they could stay together, and yeah, that would be something special.
Cool.
So
Give us a quick recap then of your band.
So David Coverdale on vocals, Duff McKagan on bass, Malcolm Young on rhythm guitar, Neil Peart on drums, and John Sykes on lead guitar.
Cool. Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very good. Very good. I like it. I like it. So I have a bunch of crazy men in my band. I have James Hetfield, Lemmy, Ozzy Osbourne, Lars. And why not throw another madman in? Dave Mustaine.
Stop. Oh my God.
I think that Dave Mustaine's riff writing is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think he got a raw deal with Metallica. I really do. Yes, he's a bit of an ass.
Mm.
He comes across as very bitter, but I honestly think that he has a point. They were all whacked out of it on drinking, God knows what. Hetfield was wild. Dave obviously was wild too when he was in Metallica. But like, they got rid of him, and I think like he jumped straight in. That's just looking like Killing Is My Business in '85, and Peace Sells is a brilliant album. I listened to it today again for
Yeah.
hasn't been, it's been a while, but like the track mechanics is
Yeah.
the Four
Four
Horsemen.
Horsemen.
Like he obviously wrote that riff. Like there was no arguments about it. And when there's actually, I think Ride the Lightning, he wrote that as well.
Yeah. Well, his credits are
Yeah.
all throughout Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning.
Yeah, yeah. Um, he obviously was hurt deeply with the whole Metallica thing.
Mm.
Dusted himself off, started this band Megadeth, and was determined to give a big FU to Metallica and say, well, you know what, I'm just going to do it just as good. Would it on the same level as Metallica? No. But were they in the same, they're in the same area? Yeah, 100%. Do they have a massive fan base? Yes. Is it on the
Yeah.
level of Metallica? No. But I think it's like the fun thing to do is to like shit on Dave Mustaine. And I think he definitely, as a guitarist, solely as a guitarist, I think he doesn't get enough credit by some people. And that tour bus would need padded cells and I don't know what minder. Each member would need a minder. Can you
Yeah.
imagine James Hetfield, Lemmy, Lars, Ozzy Osbourne, and Dave Mustaine on stage? It'd be one hell of a gig, I'll tell you.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. It'd be unbelievable.
But
Unbelievable.
if you could tame them even for one night, I think
Yeah.
it'd be a hell of a show.
Yeah.
I went crazy, like I did go a
I
bit.
know. Yeah. In fairness, you stuck to your guns. You went the metal and the trash route and you stuck to your guns. And
Yeah,
yeah, I love Dave Mustaine. I think he's amazing.
yeah,
I agree with you. I don't think he gets enough credit. I think people are too quick to shit on him.
yeah,
Excuse the French.
yeah.
But the first album is really badly produced. I,
Oh,
I
it's so bad.
don't I
Yeah,
don't like it. But Peace Sells On, brilliant. Rust in Peace, Countdown to Extinction,
yeah.
excellent. I've seen them live a couple of times and
I've never seen them.
brilliant. Yeah. Now look, his voice isn't great.
No, but I
At
mean,
the
he's
at the
after,
moment,
and look, he had
he had
cancer.
cancer.
Yeah, he had cancer and everything. Like he's been through the
Yeah,
ringer, and you
he
could
has.
you could tell in that interview on Saint Ango where Lars and Rob meets him. Like, why is Rob there? In fairness, but like he's hurt. Like he's like remember,
Yeah,
like I've waited this for like 20 something years. Like
yeah,
and everyone, I mean, no matter how big, we're all people at the end of the day. And if you have 20,000 people going, "Oh, Metallica," it's gotta hurt. I know
yeah,
some of it was self-inflicted, but I think, I think James was probably just as bad, but he just had that buddy with Lars and two against
yeah.
one. You're out.
I don't think Lars and or sorry, James and Dave would have worked in a band. I think they're two, both trying to
Yeah,
be at the front of the band
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And look, because of that, we've got two great metal bands. So like, it is
Exactly.
what it is.
That's the fun of just creating a crazy super band that we just.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was fun.
that was great.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So yeah, make sure to check out Rob's channel Wall Again on YouTube. Give him a subscribe, and yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll check you on the next one. Good luck.
Thanks very much. See ya.
See ya.